everyone, it's KoDoRiN. Just going off the script, I want to tell you my story, some highlights of Rollback Rumble, the big one. I like to detail some highlights of my gameplay, some story behind the preparations of my matchups, the feelings I had in each moment, and some parts I thought were cool. Um, this is my first time doing this kind of sort of unscripted video, and I'll see where this takes me. So, looking at the West Coast bracket, infamous. Running tourneys myself, West Coast sucks. They suck balls at net play tourneys. They often drop out. The top talent don't show up. They compared to East Coast, you would see TMTs where it's like, I don't know, even Rollback Rumbles West Coast where it's like no namers, and then you have East Coast Fridays having Aklo versus HBox Grands. We had nothing comparable to that, and it's an embarrassment. Like I try to do my own. I try to do my part getting West Coast to participate. You know, stuff like TMTs, SSS Online, but they suck. Surprisingly, for this NA West singles pools, there was some decent competition. Uh, to compare from last week to prepare for this tourney, I entered Frame Perfect Series 6, Mewtwo King's sub tourney. And for reference, like 75% of West Coast people dropped out. And then for this one, like, less than a quarter dropped out. Kind of a reverse. I saw, surprisingly, East Coast dropping out. But regardless, I knew my pool was something to seriously consider. I was very likely to play Salt, a Falcon main. I've never lost to Salt. In fact, I've never dropped a game to him prior to this. But here's the thing. Knowing that Rollback Rumble had 2 summit spots on the line, I felt butterflies in my stomach, to put it. That's the only way I could describe it. That I was incredibly nervous. I really did not want to lose. And the entire time, like, when I was in bracket, I basically stalked my bracket. Had, maybe a close call here and there. But for the most part, I did fine. There was no worry about me. But by the time I reached to Salt, I knew Falcon has a nasty punish game on mark. Especially if I'm not being proactive in the matchup. I'm just swinging recklessly. Falcons, they're going to wrap the boost you to oblivion. And as a result, game 1, I dropped the game. I never dropped the game to Salt before. I choked an easy edge guard, and I was in my head. I was like, oh, fuck. If I go to losers now, there is no way I could win this tourney. There's no way I would do well. And, man, it's a good thing that I signed up for something called Healthy Gamer Coaching, where I confided to my coach, great mental health resource, by the way, I confided to my coach that I have something big coming up where the results would mean a lot. And he told me that's the problem, that you treat the results as something that's such a big deal. And I told him, but it has such ramifications in real life. And he's like, that's true. But you have to really appreciate the process. And I was like, okay, yeah, I do appreciate the process, but at the same time, I know I will be playing worse. And he said, that's irrelevant. Whether or not you play worse is an irrelevant question. You have to stay in the present moment. Pay attention to what you're feeling and make the best out of it. And I was like, but, I'm just not playing well. How is that my best moment? And it's like, again, irrelevant question. There is no best moment. The best moment that really happens is whether or not, you make do with what you have. And I really consider that, because, I still challenged it a lot. I'm not going to go over, 30 more minutes of that. But I really had to mold that thing over. And I realized, if I really want to make the most out of these nerves, how I'm playing more scared, I have to live in the present moment. I stopped being as reserved. I started swinging more. Swinging too much to a fault. I realized I had to tone it down, and I had a realization. I'd rather lose playing my best than lose like playing nervous, like playing scared. Because when you're scared and March Falcon, you get obliterated. The Falcon will find a way to dash, dance, grab, find a way to get their aerials in, get their grab combos, and kill you. I knew I couldn't afford that, and when I stepped it up, reaffirming to myself that I'd rather lose playing my best, I managed to clutch it out, and I managed to make it to top 64, feeling relieved. And as my relief came over to day two, I was still a little nervous, but I felt a little bit more refreshed. I, was looking at my bracket after what seemed like a long night. I went to sleep eventually. Thank God that this tournament doesn't require me to wake up at 11 a.m. So at 2 p.m. And as I saw my bracket, I knew like I have a very good path towards top 8. My first opponent was H God. Oh my god, why is he my round 1 opponent? Doesn't matter. I farmed him anyways. It was actually Dawson. But I had no issues with Dawson. I've fought him before, played him in friendlies and tournament, and I knew if I just played my standard game plan, I would win, and so I did. Took account to some of his down and away DI, and dealt with him fine. And then I played Darktooth, whom I actually analyzed prior, since I knew Darktooth was basically a legend in the tri-state area. I looked him up a little bit at some old VODs of his versus Mewtwo King, and noted some habits of his, and I realized it was quickly irrelevant because I know at the same time Darktooth wasn't grinding all that much, and it kind of showed when he wasn't really CCing any of my down tilts, and wasn't super refined with his flow charts, and then he gave up game 3. I knew I had this in the bag, just did my standard stuff, and managed to take it easily. It's a shame that Darktooth chose to. I mean, it's not a shame for him. Just for me personally, that there was a potential, untapped potential for Darktooth. That he just decided that he wants to teach, and that's totally fine. I just wish I got to play peak Darktooth, the one that always kept up with the meta. But I hope he's doing fine. And then I went up against Magi, where I played friendlies with her prior to this. I was favored in the friendlies. We played some sets. I had one set where she almost reverse 3-0'd me, and I knew I had to take her extremely seriously. I knew the things that gave her an edge in our session was the staggered lasers. The staggered lasers kind of mixed up the timing that I wasn't used to, and so I realized that I need to react to this. I need to take account to this. And as I power shielded well, kept up the pressure well, made sure I hit my punishes, I actually managed to take it solidly. There was no issues there. I did drop a game, but it's to be expected. I mean, Yoshi's hard for me. As I took advantage of certain opportunities here and there, I realized I had this in the bag, and top 8 was in my grasp, so I did, and I was ecstatic that I was going to survive another day. I didn't have to deal with the brutal losers path. Which, by the way, if I lost to Salt round 1, if I lost to Salt in winners pools, I would have had to face Ginger, my round 2 pool, my round 2 opponent. That would have been brutal, and I don't think I would have made it very far, considering my state of mind. Theoretically, I would have been. Would have been me or him. Thank God I didn't have to do that. And I made it to top 8 winners. And before, reasonably happy that I made it to top 8, I knew I had some serious preparation work for me. I seriously needed to prepare for my likely opponent. I seriously needed to prepare for S2J. And potentially Wizrobe, where I have ideas, solid ideas versus Falcons, but I I needed something. Like I didn't feel like I really know the matchup, and I needed help. I needed help on how I could really fit that last piece of the puzzle because I feel like I wasn't that far off. I just needed something, and I signed up for PP lessons. PPMD, if y'all don't know, he's a legend, and I signed up for his personal Patreon where he does some coaching on the side, and I basically permanently took up one of those slots, and I haven't used it yet. And I messaged PP, hey, special favors, are you willing to coach me kind of last second, last minute? Because normally he requires some reservation in advance, but normally he doesn't accept that sort of thing. But because his commentary block for day two got canceled because it ran too fast, I managed to fit in a lesson, and we really talked about on how to deal with Falcons in Nair. There's Nair in place especially. I was shook from Salt Day 1, and I really knew that I needed that extra piece of the puzzle to really win. And when we discussed about Falcons Nair, I immediately applied what we learned, what we talked about, which we talked about, disrupting Falcon's Nair with side B, reacting to the second hit of Nair because Mart's Hurtbox contorts weaves really where Mart's Hurtbox contorts really well around Falcon's first hit of Nair, and then you want to react to the second hit of Nair. And when we discussed that sort of strategy using side B, I immediately went to work. I tested it, the reactions, I played Gatsu and Zio, and found that it worked really well. And I should really try this. Like, I should probably use this game plan. And so I felt comfortable. I felt like I was ready for tomorrow with this new piece of technology I have in mind. And I managed to go to sleep reasonably sound as I was comfortable with what I had. Now for day 3, top 8, I somehow did not get good sleep. I just somehow managed to wake up at freaking 7 a.m. after going to sleep at 1 a.m. And then I forced myself to go back to sleep. I didn't feel refreshed. I asked Zio to warm me up as I was doing some basic reactions from side B versus Nair in place. It didn't actually go that well. And I asked Zio for some friendlies, but I was actually getting trounced. I realized I just could not react as well as I could. So I got some coffee. I ran around a little. And I started to get better, but I didn't feel like I was at my 100%. And I realized I had to make some adjustments. I can't just side B on reaction, but I can at least use it to disrupt Falcon's control. And then when the time came, I had to fight SJ. We played game 1, and I quickly realized he was kind of playing bad. SJ, he has a near spotless record against me. I've only ever beaten him once. It was the last time that we played at TNT, like at May or something. And after I beat him in winners finals, he's 6-0 with me in grands. I've taken him close here and there before, but this time I could tell something was different. Despite me not playing my best, I could tell he was playing even worse. He was not playing confident. He was not moving well, and he was messing up tech skill here and there. And maybe not blatantly messing up, but just like the little macro stuff, I just noticed he just wasn't on point. And I knew I could work with this. Despite me not playing my best either, I knew I could win this. Despite dropping game 1, I wasn't worried. I knew he wasn't playing as well as he could be. And the rest of the games, I managed to run with it. I managed to apply some of the side B stuff. Not all of them were on reaction, but I did enough. Managed to wall him out at certain spots. He was starting to get a little antsy. And then game 4, he SD'd. And that was my time. I knew that was like, this is my time. If I don't take this, I'm losing the set. And despite the last edge guard being agonizing for me personally, I finally got it. and I felt overwhelmed that like I managed to be one step closer to securing a summit spot. I almost wanted to cry there, but I knew it was not over. I still had one more opponent to beat, and it was Wizrobe. We played friendlies after I complained on Twitter like a little bitch, complaining about how I couldn't fight Wizzy in Frame Perfect Series 6 since he had DQ from not knowing Smash.gg or something. And we played friendlies. He accepted my request. And at first it was in my favor, but then it slowly got to his favor because he was able to manipulate me with his aerials in place. And with the technology I had in mind, while I wouldn't be able to react to all of his aerials in place, I could at least disrupt some of them. And I can also tell he was playing like garbage game one. He was like throwing himself off stage, and I was like, alright, I'll take it. And then I took it. And game two. Oh my goodness, game two. He was still playing kind of like garbage, and it was so within my reach. If I did certain things a little better, I could have been up 2-0, but that was not the case. Wizzy started to be a little bit more comfortable, took games 3 and 4, and no. T took game 3, and I was like, damn, I could have been up 2-0, and now he's up 2-1. And I realized I need to respond to hell back. I pulled out whatever stalls possible for game 4, and game 5 I was really playing my heart out. The first stock, when I got that insane tipper from that Waveland back conditioning, I thought I was gonna win. But because I didn't respect him out of the corner, I didn't respect just how crisp his invincible nair from the ledge was. That ended up costing me quite a bit. And Wizzy, through his insane nerves of steel, the last moments, he took it over me. And that hurt. That hurt because I thought for sure I was going to win. But that didn't happen. I knew that it was not over yet. I had to take a breather, and I had to determine, yeah, it's either I'm going to be fighting an angry SUJ or Toussaint, which angry SUJ, not an easy opponent, but Toussaint. He destroyed me at Pound 2021 online. He just ran me over with a bunch of pounds, rests, and I'm like, fuck, dude, that's brutal. And so to counteract that, I actually hit up Zain when he got banned for a week due to, Twitter incidents that led him to using a certain tag that, I don't want to get banned at YouTube here either, so I'm not going to say it. But during his week-long hiatus, I asked a lesson from him, and he accepted. I asked a lesson for him specifically on Mark Puff, since he's the best in the world in Mark versus Puff. And he pointed out a lot of habits that I should avoid versus Toonstein. How I need to be okay with walling, looking out for pound, looking out for knockdowns. If I want to beat Toussaint, I have to really fix those key glaring holes. And so I was doing okay for a bit until I kind of just threw away my stocks. So my execution wasn't on point. And I still got rested a shit ton. A lot of them were avoidable. Still though, I was fighting back. I wasn't going to let Zane's lessons go to waste. And so I fought back. I really tried my best in certain spots. And I fought back as hard as I could. But some of those rests, man, they were brutal. Especially the last one. I was like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And it did. He managed to clutch guarded me. And it hurt. It really hurt to lose that way after I had such a lead game 4. but it really hurt being so close, getting that summit spot, yet so far. And I couldn't. I took me a while to process that kind of loss. And as soon as I just logged off because I didn't want people to look at me, I tweeted my sad stuff. I was proud of some plays I made, but you know, still just tweeted that I was sad. Eventually, after that pain kind of faded, I just felt nothing. And then I checked my Twitter again, and I just saw the absurd amount of outpouring support I got from my fans, some of my students, some of the Mark pros. Actually, almost all of the Mark pros. Some, like, some of these guys are my heroes, and they're still telling me that I was sick, that I had potential, that this guy, the best Mark in the world, taking notes from me. Some big community figureheads supporting me. And I wept. In fact, I incessantly wept. I don't know why. Like, after, because I didn't cry immediately when I lost to Zain. I just only felt pain. But seeing the insane outpouring of support, I didn't know how to process all of that. And I just wept and wept and wept. The reason why this this loss hurt me a lot was because I really want to make Melee my full-time commitment. And if I had a Summit qualifier, if I was able to make it to Summit, it would have made things straightforward. I think it would have been really easy to like have an org recognize my potential. Maybe not easy, but at least straightforward. You know, I have I have parents that are kind of pressuring me to be like, John, get a full-time job. We're not gonna support you forever. And that's why being so close yet so far hurt me a lot. But as I confided that to my healthy gamer coach, as he told me, life is not so linear as I'm making it out to be. In fact, there's many ways, there's many things that could happen. Even if it's not as straightforward as I'd like it to be, there's still options. You know, Dr. K didn't take off as this thing until he was like in his 30s. Maybe I can't make this full time immediately, but I could at least certainly. It can be in a year, perhaps. And honestly, anything could happen. And I know with my current trajectory, with how I've been improving in Melee, I could make this something I really want to do. It is my desire and my dream to make it, because it's something I care about very much. I'm not sure what will happen the next few months, honestly. Probably gonna keep grinding Melee because I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. But you know, I'm gonna keep up the grind. Probably gonna make a lot more content from here on out and see what happens. Thank you all for supporting me. I hope you watch more of my play. Perhaps give more of my content more of a chance. And I'll see you all around.